Hello guys and welcome back to another FPL video. My name is FPL Meerkat and today is a very good day. It was an incredibly good game week for me. I've got my game week 27 team selection for you guys, but let's dive straight into the game week 26 review. It was an incredibly good week for my team. I don't have a wild card, so I couldn't even wild card. I know a lot of people were going to wild card in game week 26. It was a week that was going all right. You know, Mitoma with his 13 points was absolutely amazing. Haaland outscoring Saka on the captaincy was also great. But my word, what a performance from Liverpool. And I owned 3 of them in my team. Salah, Darwin and Trent. Salah, I was never predicting this. I was never going to captain him. I did think that I think my prediction for the game was 3-1. I did think Liverpool would win. I did think Salah would have a chance of scoring, but what an incredible performance from him and the Reds. Yeah, absolutely obliterating Man United. I think that's their worst ever defeat, especially to Liverpool. I think it might be their worst defeat in Premier League history. Let me know if I'm right about that. But yeah, a massive score from them. Tarkowski was 0 points there. Absolutely rubbish. He's got me 0 points being in my team. He is out this game week. Saka and Ødegaard there, the 2 Arsenal assets, blanking, as well as Rashford. Again, their ownerships are so high at the moment, it's not really bothering me too much. This is why, by the way, this period of FPL is really exciting to me. I know a lot of people have wildcarded, and they've made teams that are very, very similar to one another. So that's what made this game week so good, is that I was about 30 points above the average score. And I knew that so many people had the same team from the same wildcard, whereas I had the 3 Liverpool players, which absolutely catapulted me up the ranks. As you can see there, from 630k to 340k, a massive rank rise. I was seeing people in the millions going to about 100k. There were some insane rank rises, especially for those of you who captained Salah. Incredible if you did that. But yeah, really happy with the returns, really happy with Mitoma as well. I love him. I think he's my favourite of the Brighton midfielders. He'd definitely be the one that I'd go for. Just ignoring the stats, I think just looking at the Brighton games, I think Mitoma is the best player in that attacking in those attackers. FPL has become very much stats driven in the last couple years, and yes, it can work out really well in some instances, but to be honest, I think watching the football games and choosing the players that you like the look of, I think is honestly the best strategy. Just watching football games and predicting who you think is going to do well, like Darwin there and Salah, who are both they both really got back to their best in Liverpool. I know they conceded 5 goals to Real Madrid, but just looking past that, their attacking threat looks incredibly good, and they've just had 5 clean sheets in a row. So yeah, I think the Liverpool assets are great. I think it is all right to bring them in for this Bournemouth game, even though they do blank in the following week. I think if you've got ways around it, I think the Liverpool assets are so good. I would advise getting one in. Personally, I just think their attack is so good at the moment. And Danny Ward there on the bench with 11 points, which is quite funny. Despite the fact that Leicester lost their clean sheet, Ward got an 11-pointer for saving a penalty. I'm not too bothered about that. Honestly, you can never predict when a penalty is going to happen. I was always going to play Raya ahead of him. Maybe there was a chance I didn't use my transfer and not do Pope to Raya and instead just play Ward. That could have been a possibility, but I really wasn't heavily considering it. I don't really consider playing Ward in any match. The Leicester defence has just been very poor all year. They always seem to concede 1 goal. And Ake getting a 5-pointer there. I'm just praying that he keeps playing, honestly. I really need him for my team to just get that nice little clean sheet point. But luckily Struijk is back. He was on the bench, which is a big relief to see. So hopefully he'll be a good he'll be at least an option to come off the bench if Ake doesn't play. So yeah, an incredibly good game week 26 for me there. Really put me in high spirits to continue going on. I think this time in FPL is a really good opportunity to pick differentials and really rise up the ranks, because a lot of people's teams are looking very similar at the moment based on how the doubles and blanks are falling. There is definitely an optimal way of playing the game, but maybe not necessarily the way that gets the most points. There certainly can be. Nobody was expecting this kind of return from the Liverpool players, but we know that Liverpool are an excellent team. So getting into the Game Week 27 team, I've already made 2 transfers, so I've already taken a hit. So I've brought in McAllister for Ødegaard, and I've brought in Estupinan for Tarkowski. Now, I've gone for the triple Brighton here, and a single Brentford asset, so I have 4 doublers. I don't have any Crystal Palace or Southampton either. There is an option to do Nketiah up to Tony. I couldn't do that as my single move because I didn't have enough money in the bank to do that. I would have had to have done one of those moves to make up the money. I would have had to have done McAllister to Ødegaard to McAllister to make up the money to upgrade Nketiah to Tony. I don't know what I'm going to do about Tony. I think he's probably the best captaincy option at the moment because the two fixtures he has are so good on paper, Southampton and Everton. I just got a feeling he doesn't get a massive haul. Literally just gut feeling. This is nothing to do with the stats or anything like that. There is not much logic behind it other than I just have a suspicion. It seems like everyone's going for him. It feels like it's going to backfire. I think the most I'm worrying from him is about like an 11 pointer. He gets 9 points in one game, a goal and a free bonus, and then a blank in the next. I don't see him returning in both games. That could massively, massively backfire. But yeah, the only way I see him coming into my team, because look at the starting lineup. I've got 7 incredibly strong attackers there. I don't really want to take a -4 to bring in Tony. Again, a good way of visualizing it is if I bring Tony into the side and then bench someone, I guess it would probably be Saka that I bench. I'm basically bringing in Tony and he's already got a -4 on his score rather than 0. And then Saka's on the bench. I just don't feel like it's worth doing. I don't think I'm that afraid of Tony. But the only way he would come into my side is handily because the Liverpool kickoff is the early kickoff. We will hopefully get some team news about Liverpool before the deadline. If Darwin is announced to be on the bench, I will do Nketiah to Tony and just bench Darwin. That's pretty much the only way I think he comes into the side. Or if Rashford or Saka get injured midweek, I wanted to catch the price rises and I'm going to be a bit busy this week. So that's why I did my transfers just nice and early. So if injuries happen or if Darwin is on the bench for the first game, then I will do the Nketiah to Tony switch. And as I mentioned as well, if Ake doesn't play, I've got Stroud there on the bench. Hopefully he plays. I imagine Ake, if he doesn't play, he'll come off the bench. But yeah, I'm hoping. I think he's the most nailed for minutes. Sorry, I can't use the word nailed about a Man City defender. He's the most likely to get minutes in that back line. But yeah, there's so many options in that Man City defence. I'm really happy about the Liverpool triple up still. I've actually got the armband on Salah for the time being. I think my captaincy choice is going to be between Salah and Mitoma. I think that's going to be the 50-50 I'm on at the moment. I'm currently on Salah. But again, it is the early kickoff, and there is a bit of a curse with the early kickoff in FPL that if you captain someone in the early kickoff, they never do well. And also Salah is so low owned at the moment that I don't need to captain him, whereas Mitoma is quite a bit higher owned. So for me to really enjoy his score, I might have to captain him. That's a bit of a sad way of looking at it, but it's a bit of a safer way of doing it. I think I've gone differential enough by having the 3 Liverpool assets as it is. So I think captaining a doubler feels like the best play. But I just feel like Salah might go massive again. I feel like he's guaranteed to get a goal in this Bournemouth fixture. It's just how many points does he get? But again, there are so many good captaincy options for this week. Absolutely incredible. I think that's why, again, I'm going a bit away from Tony, because if Tony had a single game week, I wouldn't even look at him. It's the fact he's got 2 games that everyone is looking at him. Because Rashford there, Southampton at home. I know Man United have just been slapped 7-0, but honestly, I don't think that's like a beginning of the end kind of thing. I think Man United will bounce back from that. I think they'll do really well at that home fixture against Southampton. Haaland, of course, against Crystal Palace. He's currently got the vice captaincy in that screenshot, but yeah, it's definitely between Salah and Mitoma for you at the moment. And McAllister, I've just brought in. I've brought in McAllister because last game week, I definitively thought that my list went Mitoma, March, McAllister being the worst of the Brighton midfielders. But watching that previous game, all the people who were talking about how he's playing a lot more advanced and he's in that number 10 position, You were absolutely correct. He was so advanced in that team. And I think he's playing so well at the moment that I feel like he's just going to keep playing there. Honestly, I don't see him moving back to his defensive mid role anytime soon. Again, that could happen in terms of injuries and just getting new players into the side. But yeah, I think McAllister in that number 10 role is so big. And the fact he's on penalties as well is incredibly nice. And especially with Matoma on the pitch, I think Matoma's going to be so good at winning penalties because he's very foulable, isn't he? He's so tricky getting around players. I think he will earn a few penalties, and obviously I would want the player who's taking the penalties. And also, these are long-term picks. I think these three Brighton players, as long as they don't get injured or rotated, I think I'll be keeping them for the rest of the season. They are so cheap and they've got so many fixtures coming up. So yeah, I will get onto that. The reason why I've gone for the triple up on Brighton assets, you might be thinking, hang on a minute, they've got a double now, but then they've got a blank and then they've got another double. Whereas Brentford assets, they have a double in 27 and then they have a fixture in blank game week 28. I am fully settled on using my free hit in 28. Obviously, you'll see how my team looks in game week 28 when we get to it. But yeah, I'm absolutely using the free hit. I think I'll gain a lot more from it than any of the future game weeks. I think for game week 29, I'll have almost full doublers anyway, so that's fine. In 32, I think I'll be able to navigate it and get about 10 players out for that anyway, so that'll be fine. And then in 34, the double game week, I'm planning on bench boosting, so I won't need the free hit there either. So yeah, basically the free hit, for my team personally, the best time to use it will be in this blank game week because I believe I will have 4 players, I think, in that team, in that game. I'll have Saka, I'll have Strauch, and I'll have a goalkeeper. I'll have Raya. Oh my gosh, I think that might be it. I think it might be 3 players. And depending on Nketiah's fitness, I might have him. And Bueno's out injured, so it won't be him either. So yeah, three players as it stands with Nketiah's injury. Saka, Strauch, and Raya will be my only 3 players. So yeah, I'm absolutely going to be free hitting in 28. So that is why I've gone for the triple Brighton. Sorry, no. The reason I've gone for the triple Brighton is because I think their doubles are better. I think this game week, their double is maybe slightly worse than Brentford. I prefer Brighton as a team as well to Brentford at the moment. I just think they're in such flying form. I genuinely think they've got a good shot at getting the Champions League spot. That might be insane to say. They'll be very happy with Europa League. But yeah, I think they've got a decent chance of getting in that top 4. I think their double is slightly worse maybe on paper this week. Their assets are cheaper though. I think I prefer their assets. And the most important reason is in 29, because I'm free hitting in 28. In game week 29, their double I think is much better than Brentford's. And I'd much rather to have a triple up on the Brighton assets than the Brentford ones. I think having a triple up on both Brighton and Brentford, I mean, that's 6 spots in the team covered. I know if you're bench boosting, you'll still have another 9 slots. But I'm not bench boosting, and I'd rather have the triple Brighton, a single Brentford player, and then that leaves up 7 other slots for my team for other doublers. And I think I might not even be making a transfer in game week 29. But yeah, this is how the team is looking for game week 27. Sorry, I really like the look of it. I've got 1.5 million in the bank as well to make some upgrades. I'm a little bit cautious about Odegaard, and yeah, I just prefer McAllister over having Tony in, based on I prefer him for 27 and 29 combined. I think Tony's probably a better shout for this game week, but I think I prefer having McAllister and just going a bit different as well, as that's worked out for me so far. But moving on to the top score in the mini league this week, it was actually me for once. How many game weeks have we been doing this for? Like 20, 25? Is it 25 game weeks we've been doing this? Because obviously one was cancelled completely. So yeah, after 25 weeks, I'm finally the top score in the mini league for once with 73 points. Obviously the big picks there being Salah, Darwin, and Matoma. It feels weird having to talk about my team in this slot for once. I think the next high scoring team was 65, I think was the next highest score. So yeah, I'm massively lucked out. I think most of the people in my mini league, I think there's about 55 of you in that league. I think about 45 of them, or so it was about 80 odd % used their wild card. So yeah, I mean, the Liverpool assets, man, they can be dangerous getting rid of them, especially when they look like they were getting back to their best. Obviously, it was far more brutal than it probably should have been. Man United just completely fell off. And the difference between this and other thrashings that we've seen is that Liverpool just did not let up. They just kept going and going and going. Honestly, I wish I could have 4 or 5 Liverpool assets at the moment. I really want to get Gakpo into my team because I think that is going to be the starting front three, is going to be Salah, Darwin, Gakpo. Gakpo looked so good in that Man United game. I think Firmino and Jota are definitively 4th and 5th choice for that front three, and obviously Luis Diaz isn't back yet. So yeah, I think that's going to be the starting front three for the foreseeable future. But yeah, a really nice game week there for me. I hope you weren't burned too badly by using the wild card and transferring out the Liverpool assets. But even if you have done that, kind of have to just move on forward. You wildcarded because the team was going to look good for the next 3 or 4 game weeks. And it was just unfortunate that the game week 26 one didn't work out, but you'll very likely make that ground back up in the future game weeks. My team is probably a bit weaker for these upcoming ones, but that's why I'm just picking some different players to hopefully gain some ground. I also do like the look of Zaha as well. Zaha might be an interesting pick for this upcoming double. As he's someone in not a lot of teams. But yeah, let me know what you guys think of the team. Let me know as well what you guys are planning on doing in terms of transfers this game week. How are you navigating the blanks and doubles? And also, who is your captain for this game week? It's going to be between Salah and Mitoma towards for me. I think I'll probably go Mitoma. I just want to captain a double game week player, and Salah is a big differential, even if he's not captained anyway. But it's going to be close between the two of them. So I hope you have a green arrow in this following game week, and I'll see you guys in the next FPL video.